Think of the people you interact with every day. Would you want to spend a day in a canoe with them? Hi, I'm Nathan Mercero, CEO of Planning Alternatives. We're a disruptive brand in the financial planning space with a point of view that true wealth has nothing to do with money. Growing up in a small town in Canada, I experienced examples of families with money and without. It started me on this journey of understanding wealth and the idea that spending a day in a canoe with someone could be one of the best investments you could make. Join me as I sit down with leaders, entrepreneurs, creatives, rule breakers, and friends to discover their perspective of true wealth. And maybe you'll start to shift yours. I'm delighted today to welcome Julie Colwell, who's a psychologist, author, speaker on such an important topic of true wealth. And our whole initiative around Discover True Wealth is what we're talking about today. Julie was instrumental with helping design a assessment that's on our website, our planningalt.com website, called our True Wealth Assessment. So I want to welcome you, Julie. I'm grateful for our mutual connection, Amanda Kasgar, bringing us together. Thank you for the wonderful work that you've done in terms of creating this assessment and contributing to our thinking and perspective about true wealth. And I'd like to just dive right into this assessment. Help listeners understand what your mindset and approach was in building out this assessment.
So I was very influenced by this author that I read probably 25 years ago. I read this wonderful book by Maria Nemeth, Dr. Maria Nemeth, called Energy of Money. And at the time, I had actually not thought very much about money or energy. I was thinking pretty much about how to have a career and keep going every day, every day. And then starting to see that, oh, wait a second, money can be overemphasized. It's easy to just think that's what we should strive for. It's easy to quantify. It's very handy in different ways. It's easier than delivering 10 chickens for sure, for the exchange of energy that's happened. But really starting to consider, oh, energy, what does that even mean? And I'd say overall how to maximize energy. That we wake up in the morning, we could say X dollars worth of energy. And so how do we want to invest that energy so that we get the best return? So starting to think about it differently from dollars and cents specifically, but really quantifying or imagining that I'm investing all kinds of energies at any particular time. So how do I do that with an eye on generating instead of depleting? How can I step into my day, my life, my experiences, so that I have this ongoing sense of flow and possibility, and not, of course, the opposite or the potential there of exhaustion and depletion. So I've been thinking about this for a long time.
When you reference energy, what does that mean? So someone might just not have that on their daily grid of words or perspective, but we all have it. And how do you frame that?
Maybe it has to do with now being 67. It's like to understanding a little bit more about my own experience of what do I have? What's my fuel to go on? But that's what I would think of energy as uh, tuning into. Okay, I'm this. What's going to activate me? What's going to motivate me? Oh, geez, I'm too tired. I don't really care about writing that blog, or I don't. Oh, I could do this thing that sounds pretty good, but geez, I'd rather not because I don't have what it takes. I don't have the gas in my tank. For sure, I've seen many, many people in relationships over the decades, and at some point, that's what they say is, I just don't have the energy to keep going in this relationship. I don't have what people want me to, my partner, but I should. I know I'm trying, but I don't know where it is, and I don't know how to get more of it. So, and that's pretty interesting to me, that whole sense of, we can go to the gas station or now the EV charging unit, but how do we get more of it so that we can do more of what we really want to do?
And how have you observed money as a topic, as an object, being interacting with this energy perspective?
What I notice, having seen so many folks over time, is that people typically aren't thinking that way. There can be often a strong drive to if I just had more money, then I could do what I would love to do. Or if my family had enough money, and it's sometimes hard to even know what that looks like, then we'll reach our goals. But it often has been, as I've observed and participated for sure, but over and over, I've seen folks that are willing to use up their health in order to generate this money. They'll work so many hours and they come in, they say, "Oh, I just can't do it anymore, but I'm gonna." And I say to them, "Well, there's a limit. And at some point, your body is going to actually interrupt that because it's just not going to be able to keep doing the things you're doing. It's going to make you go horizontal in some way or another." So it can be easy to overemphasize and overfocus on just generating more money without looking at health or enjoyment or some other things that allow us to feel replenished and ready for the next day.
I echo your observation from my side of the table as a financial advisor working with various clients for almost 30 years. There's been this trend that I see where people have a goal, they're excited about the goal, but they reach the goal and they don't necessarily feel satisfied. And it's almost like this the very thing that created success for them is preventing them from experiencing fulfillment, and
Oh,
it's this
right.
paradox that many people get trapped into, which thinking that more money or achievement of a certain outcome is the end all, when in fact it can be something less. So, our initiative around Discover True Wealth is really the mission of our company, and helping people individually identify what does true wealth mean to them. And many times people are going to conclude true wealth has nothing to do with money. It has to do with all these different other categories of life that maybe they've ignored or avoided. And we want to help them in their discovery process to see what true wealth means to them, and then align their finances, their financial plan, their portfolio, their team of professionals, all towards that purpose and setting of what is most meaningful to them. So, our assessment that you helped craft is really designed to help people get some perspective around what other areas of wealth exist beyond just the dollar in their bank account or dollar in their brokerage account. And you came up with 6 areas that I'd like to just unpack. Those 6 areas, which will be on our assessment, are security, physicality, possibility, creativity, productivity, and connectivity. Help listeners understand that framing of even those 6. Like, why are there 6 different categories, and then we'll unpack each one to better understand.
Right. Why 6? Well, we played with this for months, just to be clear. We didn't start with what we ended up with. So that was part of the whole fun of this process, was to see what would come forward. And as different people took different types, that we tried these questions and those questions, and really winnowed it down to these. So we were trying to get a sense of what creates a fulfilled life, like you said earlier. Like, if somebody is walking through and they're like, "Oh yeah," and as they take the assessment, "Oh, okay, wow, I see this whole span, and oh, no wonder I feel so good." Or it could be like, "Well, I'm really heavy in these particular areas, but gee whiz, I haven't even really thought about those areas. Huh, maybe now that I see them, I can see the value of putting more time and my personal energy into developing those."
Well, I will share feedback that my wife and I were part of the beta testing of this assessment. And for listeners, you go to our website, you take this assessment. It's randomized questions, and it's about what energizes you in different activities. And they're all categorized within these 6 categories that we're discussing. And then you get a score, a result. And so I said, yeah, I'm excited about this. Michelle, my wife, takes it, and I'm like, wait a minute, your score, Michelle, is higher than mine. So you know what my first response was after that of shock? It was denial. And I said, there must be something wrong with the program. It's got to be a
Right.
technology glitch. It's got to be, a software issue. Completely, I was very concerned about the technical parts. of this assessment. But sure enough, her score proved to be higher and stood higher. And it's because of what you just mentioned. I was anchored and kind of amplified in one or two areas of what can define true wealth, but she had a much more broader balance across a larger spectrum of things, and she's truly happy. And so that is just a good perspective uh, for listeners to consider as they take the assessment, because what I found personally is that I started to be in tune with some of these other categories, which we're going to talk about, and kind of have them on your radar as you realize there might be some opportunity to lean into different areas of what wealth may mean to you, and to use curiosity, to use a sense of openness to learning, and take a step into these spaces. So let's unpack these categories. So first one is security. Help us understand what this area of wealth means.
As I consider this, I think about Abraham Maslow's very classic hierarchy of needs. That if we don't feel safe in a basic way, then it's hard to do anything else really in our lives. And I think this particular area is very much addressing that. To say, well, yes, being able to think about my legacy and how I spend my money, how I watch over my money, that those things allow me to generate this more sense of connection and a kind of a foundation in life, so I can and really feel like I'm supported and I'm supporting those that I love in my life.
And security is certainly the foundation of what we do with financial planning and investing and thinking about getting things in place to manage risk. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So we want to help people be anchored in that, because that sense of safety is actually what opens up the area of possibility where maybe there's other things that I can do in life. I sometimes see people that are just always head down, working hard, and they actually have enough financial resources, but they haven't recognized it yet. They haven't realized that they are okay. And that's one thing that is so fundamental about how we help our clients, is to say, are you okay? And what's that mean to you? And then, is your family okay? Is your setting and your influence and your community okay, as in terms of your charitable interest and things like that? But if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel secure in who you are, that is completely a limiting factor into exploring other areas.
Something I want to highlight about this, all six areas, is there's another component to this that people will find. I don't want to give it all away, but to give some folks a teaser here. I think of Gay Hendricks. He talks a lot about living from genius, and people can find out more from his wonderful body of work by checking him out. But he talks about genius. Genius isn't I'm a genius at it, like I'm so able to do it. Genius is really I love to do this. This feels good when I'm doing it. I could do this all day long, and time goes by and I don't even notice. It's that feeling. And to really emphasize that some people are geniuses at security. So instead of, well, all right, that's kind of this, thanks for doing it. And it's one of six, but it's not that big of a deal. I'd say to look at each of these areas through that lens, like, you know what? I do love watching over money, and maybe the people around me don't. So good. So instead of trying to get everybody to be geniuses at the same thing, more of, yep, that's my area, and I really love doing it. And so to enjoy that instead of to think, well, that's not such a big deal or whatever, or yeah, I'm so good at it, and I should have everybody else be as good as me. Well, maybe, or maybe you could just enjoy how good you are at creating security.
That's an excellent framing. Thank you. I personally feel better about it now. Uh,
Right. Go, Nathan. You don't have to be as good at Michelle with all these things. Let her be geniuses and other things.
no, we're human, and we have unique gifts, and I think it's great to celebrate that space and stand in that awareness of what your genius is. The next area is physicality, and health is the natural association with physicality. But what is there when it comes to the energy of physicality that you honed in on in your research?
I just do. I think that we can run ourselves ragged with, so what, I don't get as much sleep as I think I could, or oh, so what if I use more caffeine or more other substances as I go up and down in a day? So what if I'm working so many hours that somehow I'll just catch up on that at my vacation time or some other time, because then who knows when that vacation comes. But uh, versus, no, that is a piece of this puzzle. This is a significant enough that we're saying it's 1/6 of this puzzle. Some people might say it's more than 1/6. So to very much emphasize taking care of one's physical being allows everything else to happen. And so instead of, well, that's selfish or self-indulgent, or I just don't have time for that, to understand if you are not healthy, then nothing else really can thrive around you. I see this over and over, and I if I feel scared and I tell people, "Yeah, okay, I know, you keep telling me you can't keep doing this," and I certainly said that, and then seen there was one client many years ago who was saying that to me, "I just can't do this job anymore." I said, "Well, okay, the body tends to stop people when they can't do something and they know they can't do it." And then the next time I saw her, actually, I don't think I saw her because she had tripped down three little steps in her tri level and had broken her leg like in three places. So it was a very dramatic example of don't take it for granted. And it's easy to say. And how many times do we say it in a day? And like, I know I should be getting more, whatever. I shouldn't be eating as much sugar, et cetera. But to emphasize that as being clearly vital is a good word here, but just so important. And to be able to bring that forward for yourself and the people that you love.
The next category is possibility.
Right.
What does that mean?
Possibility. Um, Right, that place, I think we started talking about it, briefly with, kind of the genius, that place of, like, really what makes life interesting and fun? What makes life enjoyable? What what keeps us, like, in that pizzazz, in that place of, "Oh, yeah, I'm ready. I wanna do this." And so that was what we were trying to capture. So knowing my purpose and finding new experiences, having that ongoing sense of curiosity that says, I do wanna learn more," instead of, what I hear, and maybe you 2 do too, Nathan, of, "Oh god, I'm doing this thing, and I've done it for a long time, and I've never really liked it, but at least I'm making money at it." But this other way of shifting the lens, what can I learn from this? How can I keep myself coming back to it because I'm so fascinated?
Creativity is the next category.
Creativity, right.
Tell me about creativity. What's in there?
Well, things, let's just take a moment because imagine this. Oh, there it is. Dreaming, trying to be just imagining beauty, imagining what allows people around me to enjoy themselves. So it's that place of what if? It's that place that it's like there's one about hobbies in there. I don't know. How much should we tell people, Nathan? That's right. But what? Why? Who cares? Well, I should have hobbies. Yeah, I could enjoy something brand new, brand. I could enjoy something that's so different. I've recently taken up. I decided, okay, finally, I'm going to draw flowers. Now, if you looked at my flowers, I don't know if you'd know they were flowers, but that sense of, oh, I could do something so unusual in my own life that it's opening me up to new other possibilities. I think of creative brain. I think reactive brain, creative brain. Just being in that state of creativity allows me to start accessing, those ahas that I couldn't generate sitting down. I'm going to come up with a new idea. But if I'm sitting drawing a flower, sort of, things just come to me, come into my brain that I wouldn't have accessed otherwise.
That makes sense. Next one is productivity. What's the energy in productivity?
Productivity. And again, to emphasize this part of uh, if you love it, like if you're a genius at productivity, instead of, "Oh, okay, great, so I can count more beans." This isn't that. This is, I don't know. Do you love to putter?
I
I
do.
think I
I
think
find
I
it
I
relaxing, actually.
found another putterer, and so doing the next thing, my wife says, "Oh, can't you just sit down?" I'm like, "But I'd love to do the next thing. I'm over here. I don't know what it is." Following the flow of what's where does my interest take me? Which is often, I don't know, what was I doing last week? Cutting up wood, and that was what I most wanted to do. So generating things, doing, it's the applying myself, my body, my being into creating something that has a product. Very satisfying for some of us, maybe not everyone.
The final category is connectivity in relationships. What
Yes,
what do you see in
right.
that that's so important?
Have you ever had this this happen with you and Michelle? Um, I'm coming home, honey, but I have to stay at work longer. Like, I know maybe we'll have time later to connect. That often relationships can take be on the back burner, and maybe we hope that they keep simmering if we don't, even if we're not stirring the pot very much. I noticed this with people who are coming into maybe their late 50s, 60s, um, that they kind of look around and like, wow, I've spent so much of my time, so much of my life generating money or doing those things or traveling around so that I can keep my business going, but my relationships have kind of, languished. I don't really know my kids. My partner is not really so happy with me, or maybe we've divorced. So understanding that that needs, some watering. Those relationships allow us, to get that ongoing sense of, energy back to us, of feeling loved and supported, and having that flow with our loved ones.
Well, good relationships are the essence of health and sustainability. And that's really the premise of Day in a Canoe, of would I spend a day in a canoe with someone and enjoy that and find fulfillment. Julie, I want to thank you for all the work that you've done in helping craft this assessment. Final question is, how has your true wealth story evolved, whether it's over the years or recently? What is something that you can say that has evolved for you?
When I came out of graduate school, it was in the '80s. It's been a while. Uh, I was all degreed. I was ready. I was teed up for my career. I was okay. Here we go. But very anxious, very depressed. And then I hit this body of work. I found this the Gay and Katie Hendricks body of work, and suddenly they were talking about having a body, which I frankly had no idea that was part of anybody's good life. Uh, and they presented this idea that feeling good, like how good are you willing to feel, was a legitimate question. That question had never occurred to me. So that has been something I've carried with me since then, since that was in the early '90s. Um, and I still was working really hard, a lot of hours. That I'm that person, that workaholic person, until I kind of started waking up. At some point, I actually had a cancer diagnosis. Well, that was about almost 6 years ago, which was the typical the big wake up call, which it was for me. It was like, okay, time is of the essence. It really is all about time and what do I want to do with my precious moments. So I would say that was another big turning point to, how can I have my one precious life be what I really want it to be.
That's amazing perspective. For me, I've found that over the past few years, I have recognized that I've been living in my head a lot, analyzing things. I am that security person, productivity person, but I've also realized that it's limited my view of what already is in front of me, the simple things that are accessible, the relationships that are available to nurture and evolve, the precious moments that life brings, whether it's a walk in nature, whether it's celebrating something of significance, whether it's discovering something new from a creative side and trying something like you suggested with your painting of flowers. So I'm in that process of evolving in my true wealth story. And I want to thank you for your contribution that you've made to me, and also all the great work that you've done in building our assessment.
Well, it is my pleasure. And Nathan, I had this big surge of appreciation that I want to describe to you. It was earlier, but I feel it right now. Um, the whole idea of the day in the canoe, and I have my associations with kind of the serenity of that and the enjoyment of paddling along. Um, I very much appreciate who you are in the world and what you're offering to us all. This idea of true wealth has nothing to do with money. In my mind, my opinion, but also my whole body lights up with that whole idea. And I have great appreciation in you having the bravery to step into kind of this world of wealth with that message. So thank you for being that person.
Thank you for commenting. I appreciate that. Once again, appreciate all of your input and expertise, and want to wish you all the best. And let's see where how many people we can help discover true wealth.
Let's see. Absolutely. Let's do it.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review. To discover what wealth means to you, please take our assessment at planningalt.com.